Hey there, my friend. This is Dave Wood, and I wanted to talk to you here for a moment about the future. I just stumbled on my words, and that's okay because it's making you pay more attention, isn't it? I'm wondering if I'm going to stop and correct myself. But here you are watching me, and you don't know why. Suddenly, you found yourself wrapped into my voice. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on in my life. So, this is a from me to you moment. I don't actually know if I have enough time on this video card. So I've struggled the last handful of years with some stuff, and I've not talked about it publicly. Some of it I'm still not going to talk about. And the reason is just because I think that it could hurt somebody if I talked about it, or maybe it's not appropriate, or maybe I don't have the other side of the story yet in order to be able to do it. But a lot of you know me, and a lot of you know me from my biggest project, or before that, from Empower Network, or from before. Some of you have been working with me off and on for like 15 years. And some of you just met me the other day and you're like, who's this guy? And maybe you're seeing this in your feed and you're like, I find this man particularly attractive. And, you know, I don't have much to say about that other than that, hi ladies. But as you may know about me, I did a lot of sales over a short period of time online. I got online in 2009. I was broke, I was homeless, I was living in a van. And I had this series of breakthroughs where I learned some stuff that actually is very basic stuff, like it's very simple. And I really learned these ideas very well. And there's more to the story in the sense that I had an existing skill set where I was very good at sales and very good at recruiting. And that skill set I had existing on top of these very basic skills I learned on the internet allowed me to have this like breakthrough that looked like I came out of nowhere. And I went from broke, homeless, living in a van to all of a sudden I'm making like $1,000 a day and more. I actually had a day very shortly after starting selling online. It was like 5 figures in a day, which is crazy for me because at the time, that was more money than I'd made the whole previous year because I was like broke. And so, well, I don't know about that, but that month I made more than the previous year. I think I made more than $12,000 the previous year. So like I was like 12,000 a night. No. I was broke. I was broke. And so then I start making like multiple 5 figures a month. And then it was like one success to another success. I was married at the time. I was very in love with my wife. And then, you know, I had one breakthrough and then another. My wife, you know, somewhere in the midst of that, my wife and I started having issues, but I was making a lot of money. And then around sometime after that, I launched this company called Empower Network. Now, Empower Network was 2 things. It was a massive success and it was a colossal implosion. It was both at the same time. I mean, just depending on what time period you're actually watching that at. I mean, we had the most colossal launch. It was like amazing. And then we had just as equally of a colossal implosion at the end. And I learned a lot along the way because, you know, when I built that, I didn't really know a lot about business. I knew a lot about network marketing. And I knew a lot about people. And I knew a lot about recruiting, and I knew a lot about sales, and I knew that I loved people. But I didn't really understand like normal business stuff that they teach in like normal school because I had just never read those books, you know what I mean? I had always like gone to the NLP seminars and the Amway seminars and stuff like this. So I was like, you know, you put me in a room with a group of people and a vacuum cleaner and I'm coming out of there with $3,000, you know, that's the kind of skill set I had, right? But I didn't understand financial statements. I understand accountants. I understand like infrastructure and this kind of stuff. So we had some like major successes and we had some major failures. And our peak, that company, we did we were doing over 5 million every month, but it was like, we did over $7 million in sales in a month. Now, I didn't make $7 million in a month, but it's a pretty phenomenal experience, right? Well, then some shiz happened, some bullshit, I'll say. And it was one bullshit after another bullshit after another bullshit. And I don't have time to get into this video. And I went through a strange phase in my life. And some of you were there to see that phase. And it was quite interesting. And I'll just leave it at that. One day I'm going to get on this video. I'm going to talk about it all the way through. And you're going to be like, If you've not heard that story, you'll be like, what? Right? And if you've heard the story, you'll be like, oh, that's what actually happened. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, this actually happened. But I got to tell it in a good way. And then I had to go through this period of time where I had nothing again. Where I went from being really well known and famous to having nothing and being on the streets. And then having to start over and having to build new relationships from zero because my old ones wouldn't talk to me anymore. Even though some of the people I'd made them, like hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, and they just wouldn't talk to me anymore. Or they wouldn't talk to me the same, It's like they talk to me, but they're nervous at the same time. And I had to rebuild relationships and start rebuilding income and start rebuilding projects. And it was actually harder to do it the second time than it was the first, because I had to kind of come out of damage. And what this video is really all about is it's about finding yourself in the midst of things that are going on that you might not like and transforming your way out of it. It's like what it's like is it's like a butterfly, like a caterpillar. It climbs into a cocoon and then it turns into a butterfly somehow. I actually don't know how that works. Yeah, you can't open the cocoon because then it ruins the process. Otherwise I would check. And I'm not particularly a scientist, but I do read a lot. And they turn into a butterfly, and to get out of the cocoon, they start beating their wings against the sides of the cocoon. And a really interesting thing, if you let it out when it's doing that, because if you're like, oh God, it's really fighting, because they really struggle to get out of there, the butterfly will never fly. And that bird just crowing in the background, it just said what I'm saying is true in bird language. But they start like they're like slamming, and if you open it, you kill it, because it'll never fly, because the strength that it builds from the struggle is the strength that it needs to fly. And people are like that too, right? Where your struggles, whatever you're going through, and I don't know what it is, maybe you have a marriage that fell apart, maybe you are having issues with your kids, maybe you're not making the kind of money that you want to make and that you know that you deserve. The struggle is where you build the strength, where you learn how to fly, right? And that's what you learn from the butterfly. Again, not that I did that rhyme on purpose, but I discovered in this process for me that there are things that need to happen inside to create a new world that we want to create on the outside. And I'm in the process right now of putting together a project that's related to more transformation that I think a lot of people are going to be in love with, but we'll see. Because ultimately, we have to see what the market wants, right? But what this message is really all about for you is this, because I don't have a lot of time. We've only got a few minutes left on the card, if that. How much time do we have left? 3. We have 3 minutes. Okay, so I got 3 minutes, so I don't have a lot of time. Otherwise, I would tell more stories. What this video is about for you is turning you from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I'm just joking. You might not want to be either. But it's taking that grotesque situation where you're crawling on the floor, right? And it's turning you into who you desire to be, right? It's changing you from where you are to where you want to be. That transformation of one type of organism to another, of the person that's struggling to get ahead, struggling to find yourself, struggling to find your way, struggling in your relationships, struggling in your mind, struggling to manage your finances, struggling in the world that's really built for people that are more intelligent than the average, let's just be real. And you're struggling. And it's taking that struggle and transforming it like a flame of fire into this butterfly that then flies across the land. That's what this video is really all about. Is finding yourself in the midst of that struggle, beating your wings against the cocoon until finally one day it breaks and you're free. What you don't realize a lot of the time is when you fly away towards the promised land, that if you hadn't gone through that struggle, you never would have had the strength to flap your wings hard enough to lift off the ground. So whatever you're going through right now, be thankful. Be thankful for it. Because it's turning you into a better you, like the pressure that compresses into carbon. And then over thousands of years, and tons of pressure, it turns the carbon into a diamond that shines like the light of the universe. That's what's happening to you. That is what's happening to you when you are going through something tough. And I know it's tough. You're turning into somebody new on the inside. And if you want to turn into somebody new, let me know in the comments. And I'll talk to you more about my story, but maybe in some future videos. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and we've got some big projects coming in the future, and you might want to just let me know if you want to be in on that before everyone else. And I will see you in the next video. More importantly, I'll see you in the beaches of the world.